Let's fire up the Dropo-meter next on Fantasy Baseball Today. Welcome to FBT in 5. I'm Chris Towers here with Scott White. This is Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. I didn't say the in 5 part at that first part, but we are firing up the Dropo-meter. Talk about 4 starting pitchers whose roster rates might need to drop at this point. But first, some bad news. Grayson Rodriguez was scratched from his start on Tuesday during warmups, literally right before first pitch. He felt some discomfort in his right lat. No idea about the severity of this specific injury, but it's worth pointing out. He missed about 3 months with a right lat strain during the 2022 season when he was a prospect, delayed his MLB debut until the following season. If you're looking to add someone, Joe Musgrove, Shane Baz, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Kyle Harrison are all in the 60 to 75% roster rate range. Who would you prioritize out of that group?
I think it would have to be Shane Baz. I like the direction he's gone in recent start. His secondary arsenals looked a lot better as he's working his way back from Tommy John surgery, and I think he's trending the right direction. The others all have, to me, big question marks. Joe Musgrove and Eduardo Rodriguez are both returning from the IL this week, but long absences. I mean, Rodriguez hasn't pitched all year, and neither had much of a rehab assignment. And Joe Musgrove, he's still pitching with a bone fragment in his elbow. There was some talk in June that he might have to remake his delivery to compensate. I don't know how that's progressed from there, if he's actually made those changes to his delivery, but I think it's definitely a big question how he's going to perform. And so, yeah, Baz would be the most interesting. That's not to say you should drop Grayson Rodriguez yet.
Yeah.
They did just classify it as discomfort, and maybe they caught it before it became a full-blown strain. But, you know, that's a rosy outlook. It's just we need to wait and see for sure.
All right, if you're in a deeper league, maybe look for Spencer Arrighetti, who has shown real strikeout upside of late. Paul Blackburn, I thought, made some interesting changes in his first start with the Mets. And David Festa, who has some interesting traits as a Twins starting pitcher. Let's move on to a couple of Dropo-meter targets. And we'll start with, I think, a guy who's going to be pretty low on the Dropo-meter, and that's Clayton Kershaw, who has not gone 5 innings in any of his 3 starts back from shoulder surgery, but has looked good in 2 of them. 4 2/3 innings on Tuesday against the Phillies, 5 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 5 strikeouts, got a bunch of whiffs with the slider and curveball. Is he someone you should be looking to drop, or are you pretty confident Clayton Kershaw is someone you want to keep around?
For now, I'm confident, so I'm going to put it at like a 1 on the Dropo-meter, in part because he's scheduled for 2 starts next week with 2 good matchups, Brewers and Cardinals. So, yeah, I think you'll want to keep him around just for that. He's looked good enough through 3 starts, 2 of them good, 1 not so good, but he's looked like Clayton Kershaw more or less coming back from shoulder surgery. So I'm encouraged overall and want to take advantage of that 2-start week. The question is, will he go deep enough for it to matter how well he pitches? And I think it's a legitimate question. His final 8 starts down the stretch last year, his shoulder was bothering him. Granted, that's why he had the surgery, but he didn't throw even 85 pitches in any of them. So they were on the shorter side as well. Maybe that's just how the Dodgers want to treat Kershaw going forward. But I think it's too early to say for sure. And so let's hold on for the 2 good matchups last week and reassess then.
All right, let's move on to another guy who just came back from
2 starts next week, I should have said.
Let's move on to another guy who, similar to Clayton Kershaw, has just come back from a serious injury. Jeffrey Springs, who has not looked nearly as good. And frankly, you couldn't have asked for many better matchups for him to come back from, or to, the Marlins and Cardinals. And he just hasn't looked very good. Velocity's been down, hasn't been getting whiffs. Fastball got crushed against the Cardinals on Tuesday. 4 earned runs in 5 innings, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Where's Jeffrey Springs on the Dropo-meter?
So he's more like a 2 or a 3, which is still pretty low. It was such a long wait for him. He was so good last year that I think he deserves more than 2 starts. We're going to need to see the velocity come up. It did go up some from start 1 to 2, almost a mile per hour. Still not where we need it to be, but manager Kevin Cash said after Springs' first start that he thought it'd take a couple starts for the velocity to spike. We saw movement in that direction. I'm holding on a little longer.
And then Hayden Birdsong, who we liked quite a bit as a streaming option for this week. And he went out and gave up 7 earned runs in 2 innings, 5 hits, 3 walks, 1 strikeout, 1 outrageous home run by CJ Abrams that went for 3 of those 7 earned runs and was about as high as his chin when he made contact with it, which was pretty nuts. But yeah, Birdsong had shown real upside in his previous couple of starts, 20 strikeouts in 11 innings of work, gigantic swing and miss rates in those 2 starts, including, I think, 27 matched the season high by any pitcher. Didn't have anything working in this one. 2 swinging strikes on 66 pitches. Where's he at on the Dropo meter?
So I'm going to go like a 4 or 5. I still want to hold on to him, but in shallower leagues where it's even a question whether you can drop Birdsong, he's given you an excuse to. I don't think people are going to be clamoring to pick him up. He was already in line for 2 starts this week, so it's not like they're looking ahead to next week and, I'm going to get Birdsong in my lineup. I love the swing and miss potential, but there are issues here. He threw only 58% of his pitches for strikes in this one, which isn't good. But even in the 2 good starts that preceded it, it was just 62%. Still not very good. And he issued 5 walks in those 11 innings. So as he was dominating for those 2 starts, he was still showing those warts there with the control. And it's going to bring him down sometimes, as it did in this start against the Nationals.
All right, that's going to do it for FBT in 5. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then.